Caught in the cycle. Bigger paychecks can lead to bigger expenses. And I'm going to share with you a little bit my journey and some of my personal thoughts about inflation and all of this. And I've been putting out so much content. I've been putting out too much content, to be honest with you. And that's going to be backing off here just a little bit because it's just too much. People can't keep up. But today I'm just taking a little bit of a break from a busy work schedule that I have. And I want to share with you a little bit my thoughts. Now, I am the kind of person, I think of finances as a simple way. I'm not like Prepper Princess, my dear friend Amber. I'm not like her where I know all of these statistics and I know all of these, bar graphs and charts, and I'm not good at that. But I am knowledgeable about the hard knocks of life. So I do have that. And the hard knocks of life, well, I know about bigger paychecks and bigger expenses. And I know what that trap, so the pay rise, pay more trap, can lead to an expensive spiral out of control. For some people, not all, but for some people, the more they make, the more they spend. And that has been me. Now, don't tell anybody I'm saying this, but that really has been me in the years on YouTube, because the more I made, the more I spent. Now, what did I spend it on? 90% of it was spent on the house, and that really did upgrade our house, and that really did make it a big improvement in my lifestyle. But then, I found myself on good years or good months, maybe buying some things on Amazon that I really didn't need. There were once. I think that it's a little bit like when you go on a diet and you say you're not going to eat anything that you enjoy, like the foods that you enjoy. Then after a while, what happens is you have this time where you just consume so much of it. You have a weak spot. Well, my weak spot was Amazon. I cut that way back. I really cut that back. Well, I had to. I had to cut that back. But, I thought, well, this month my pay was better. I can get myself this and that. And while I do appreciate it and I do use it, it wasn't a need. I think one thing about this extreme frugal life is so many years are based on needs all the time that you can't help but want something a little bit here and there. And when you have the opportunity, it's really hard to lock that in and just use a little bit of it and not go hog wild. It's a little bit like at the Great Depression, nobody threw anything away. After the Great Depression was over, people were still in the hoarding mindset because they didn't want to get rid of anything because they thought if the Great Depression would happen again. And so with me was whenever my money was doing better, I would buy myself things because I thought I'll never be able to do it again. And I ended up going more than what I should have. What did I buy things with? Well, it wasn't extravagant clothing, or it wasn't trips, it wasn't vehicles, it wasn't jewelry. I liked books. I liked simple things, but maybe it got out of control a little bit. Now, my spending, people would say, that's nothing compared to what a lot of girls spend these days. But inflation. And so I did write a couple notes. So you see me looking down a little bit. What inflation does is it causes us to need a higher paycheck. And then when we get a higher paycheck, the employer, though, expenses become a lot more. And so the employer's expenses become so much more that they raise the prices of their goods, which in turn, the person who got paid a little more has to spend a little more to get the same amount of thing. It's a vicious cycle. And to break that vicious cycle is really hard because when inflation goes up, we need to be paid more. And when we get paid more, we have to spend more for the things that we already need to get. And it's just like a hamster in a wheel, and it goes over and over and over and over again. With my reduced income, severe, I need to cut costs, severe. And that's how it is with life, especially if you're self-employed. You can't count on anything at any one given time. It fluctuates. And so either I got to go out in the workforce which I'd never done, or I got to find other ways to supplement my income, or I have to cut my costs big time. So a couple years ago, YouTube came out with this thing saying that if you want to be serious on YouTube, now we got the notifications, you should really advertise your channel. That was, everybody was doing it that, you know, thought of their YouTube as a business. And most of them still do that. They advertise their channel. And I thought, well, you know, I want to be serious in YouTube. I want to grow my channel. I want to be this business. So I started advertising my channel. It didn't pay at all. In fact, it cost me money. I didn't see any return on it. And it really put me into a thought of, you know what? This is really interesting. Because then if you want to be serious with YouTube and be promoted, you need to have memberships. And that was another thing. Well, I thought, I'm not having memberships. I'm not charging people to watch my videos. But then that means I don't get promoted as much. And that's not hearsay, that's the rules of it, you know? And so I thought to myself, what can I do? And to be the little fish in the sea, you have to do things in order to get exposure. And so lots of little fishes in the sea start doing things big to be a big fish in the sea. And you can get into that trap. With anything with business, I think it's anything. I mean, let's say this. Let's say there's a big shoe store and you want to have a shoe store, but you got the big shoe store. How can you show your shoe store with the competition of the big shoe store? Well, you do stuff big, you do big promotions, you do big expenses, and hopes and gamble that your little shoe store will become big too. And it doesn't always happen that way. In fact, I would say 85 to 90% of the time, it doesn't happen that way. Yes, there are some that make it big in anything that they do. They make it big, but most of us little fishies are gonna stay that way. So, are you a little fishy? So as little fish, how do we cope in the world and society that is going crazy, 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 quickly, quickly, quickly? How in the world can we cope with that? And we don't become big fish. We have to limit our expenses. And one of the reasons why I can survive here where I'm at is because we live really cheap, frugal, cheap. I like to say the word cheap. People don't like that, but it's cheap. It's frugal, cheap. And so we don't have any debt. We don't have to pay, you know, our property taxes are reasonable. You know, we are partly off grid now. So what we are doing is every time we had extra money, the major expenses were to help keep this homestead, keep it that it is a safe, comfortable, and nice environment. And so that costs a lot of money because when we bought this place, it should have been done up right away. But we lived 14 years or 13 years in this place that we just kept trying to make do. But eventually, when you're making do, eventually it gets to the point where roofs are leaking, you know, pipes are broken, and you got to get to the point where you have to try to improve things. So this is a really tricky trap, you know, inflation. And then you need a pay raise, but your pay raise doesn't really make any difference because the cost of food is so much more, the cost of everything is so much more. And so how do we navigate this? And for everyone, it's different. You know, if a lot of you watch me, you're on Social Security. And so you have a set income. And your set income doesn't always reflect what the rising prices are. You may get a little bit of a raise in your Social Security, but then the food, I mean, it's crazy out there. It is crazy. I know you don't need me to tell you. I mean, you have all these YouTubers that are really educated into this field. I'm not educated into it. I'm just hard knocks of life, you know? But it is getting worse. When you go to the discount grocery store and you have food that is a month to 2 months old and they want like $9 a pound for ground beef and it's old ground beef, you know we're in trouble. But yet there are ways, I'm going to be showing you this coming week, of how you can live really frugal. You just gotta really, it's gotta be a job. So before, it used to be to live frugal. It used to be something that was just second nature. You know, you could save here and there. Now it has to be a full-time job, because you got to really look for places and look for things and scour the internet and scour things to see if you can get it cheaper. You know, you got to be careful now at the Dollar Tree, because it's not all $1.25. You have to just be diligent, and you have to go back to the old ways. And it's just a simple way of living, but it's work. And that was one of the things I did not realize. I did not realize how much work simple living can be. Cooking from scratch, you know, making your own everything from scratch. It's so much work. Having a large garden, doing all of these things, it's so much work. Like physical work. You know, instead of going to the store and popping a meal from the freezer into your microwave, you know, cooking it. And it's very beneficial. It's very rewarding, but it is exhausting to do it on a day in and day out basis. You know, for me, getting the wash, hanging on the line, getting it off the line, you know, all of these things are a wonderful way to live, but it is tiring when you compound that with 100 other things that you have to do that day. And so I think that one thing I realized is in life we are told a lot of promises, no matter where it comes from. This is general. I'm speaking in general. We are told a lot of promises of things that are going to happen. Oh, this is going to happen and that's going to happen. And we have hope. We don't ever want to lose our hope, but yet we want to make sure that we are diligent in our own lives and we are proactive in our own lives, and that, you know, I have hope next week, all of a sudden, YouTubers will get a pay raise. I have hope that next month, all of a sudden, Homestead Tessie people are going to flock to see her channel and I get a better pay raise. Sorry, but reality is next month could be even 85%. It could be 85% less instead of 75 and 80 views, or it could be, you know, money paid. So am I going to sit here and do nothing in hopes that I get 85% pay raise and flocking of the views? Or am I going to get myself ready now for it to be the opposite? And can I do it abundantly and happy and joyous? Can my rock bottom not be my rock bottom? Can my rock bottom only be here and it goes even lower? Those are the things. Count it all joy. And that was a hard lesson for me, because my whole life on YouTube, I based my success on numbers. And this last, I would say, I don't know, some of you would say it's been a year and a half, but the last year, my focus has really changed. That I see my YouTube channel as a way to reach out to people and to share with them that they're not alone. And that even I'm seeing a lot of YouTubers that have really big channels quitting. Living Traditions just quit. They're at 800 some thousand subscribers. And there is another channel that just quit that was called Outdoor Boys with 15 million subscribers. And I realize, you know, it's not the numbers, because I think that the more successful you are, the more trouble and the more heartache and the more stress can happen. Emotionally, I'm just the little guy. That's how I am emotionally. And I'll always be that way. I'm the little fish emotionally. I don't want to be the big fish. I couldn't handle it. So, you know, I think that we just have to learn to save our money wherever we can. And so I'm cutting out a lot of things, with YouTube, with programs that I at once had with YouTube, different programs that cost money each year, because I'm just me. I'm just this girl in this big wide world who wants to just share her life with people. Some people say I'm too honest. Some people say I'm so refreshingly honest. And some people say that I share too much. I don't think you could ever share too much, because in doing so, it shows you're human, it shows you're vulnerable, and it shows that you're not fake. So I think fakeness comes in when you pretend to be a certain way, and to pretend to live a certain way, to be a certain way when you're not that. And every once in a while I may have a video that isn't all, you know, jumping for joy. You know, it's life. It is. It's really life. And life is a patchwork quilt. Lots of patches make it up. But boy, oh boy, it is a fun ride. I'm forever grateful for all of you. Every single one of you. I'm very grateful for those who criticized me through the years, because in doing so, you made me who I am today. I could have never had the backbone that I have now if everything was always people loving on me and praising me. So I thank everyone. It's been a whole beautiful world, and I just love it. And being a little fish is not always a bad thing. In fact, it's got a lot of benefits. Take care, everyone. We'll see you guys again tomorrow.